Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we discuss if Lamar Jackson was robbed of his third MVP trophy. So, Thursday night, we found out all the NFL awards, and Josh Allen was awarded his first MVP trophy of his career. And this is very interesting because most of the time when we have an NFL MVP race, at least over the course of my lifetime as being an NFL fan, and following the MVP race throughout the course of the season. Usually it's a race during the season, but usually, like with a few weeks left, we know who the MVP is, and then there's not much of a debate and there's not much of an argument. Well, this year was a lot different because with a few weeks left in the season, we did a video on this, and I talked about it. With 3 weeks left in the season, if you looked at the betting odds, Josh Allen was an overwhelming favorite to win NFL MVP. Well, the conclusion of my video was I thought with 3 games left, Josh Allen was in first place for the MVP, but I thought it was a lot closer than what people were saying. And I still think Lamar had a good chance to win the award. So much so that I actually bet on Lamar to win the MVP at that point. But with 3 games left, I thought, hey, Josh Allen, he's got the Patriots twice on his schedule. He's got the Jets twice on his schedule. He's probably going to breeze by through those games. And Lamar, I know he had the Steelers left on his schedule, but he had a much tougher last 3 games of the season than the Bills did. So I kind of thought that Josh Allen was going to, cruise off into the sunset with an MVP. Well, Lamar balled out those last 3 weeks. And in doing so, that made the MVP debate a lot closer than what people were expecting with just 3 weeks left in the season. And that's exactly how the voting broke down with this award this year. So if you look at the voting for this award, this is how it broke down. As you can now see on your screen, Josh Allen had 27 first place votes to 22 second place votes. He had a third place vote too. Lamar Jackson had 23, 26, 0 third place, and then 1 fourth place vote. And then that's basically how it went. Barkley and Burrow were third and fourth, respectively, on this list. And you can see there one of the closer MVP voting races that we have had in a very long time. What makes this more interesting, too, is that Josh Allen, even though he was voted as the NFL MVP, was not voted as the first team All-Pro quarterback. The first team All-Pro quarterback was voted to be Lamar Jackson. This is a very unique thing that has happened in the NFL. It's so rare, though. I'll go ahead and show you guys a little bit more of a definitive kind of breakdown about how unique this is. Here's how the voting went down for MVP. Lamar got 30 of the 50 first team All-Pro votes. Allen got 18 and Joe Burrow got 2. Allen won the first place votes for MVP 27-23. Jackson got 12 first place votes to 1 for Allen for Offensive Player of the Year. So that means that 9 voters picked Lamar first for Offensive Player of the Year and then also voted Allen first for MVP. I got more about how unique this is. Lamar Jackson finished second in both MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. The only other times that happened in the last 30 seasons were Drew Brees 2018, Peyton Manning 2012, Brees again in 09 and 06, Peyton Manning in 2005, and then Randall Cunningham in 1998. But this is also this has only happened a few other times where we've had somebody win MVP but then not get named to first team All-Pro. This is what Adam Schefter tweeted last night. Josh Allen became the first player in 21 seasons to capture MVP without being named first team All-Pro. Since MVP was first handed out in 1957, the only other players to win the MVP award, despite not being a first-team All-Pro, were Broncos quarterback John Elway in 1987 and Titans quarterback Steve McNair in 2003. I'm pretty sure that Elway lost first-team All-Pro to Joe Montana, and McNair lost first-team All-Pro to Peyton Manning in 03. So very, very unique, but kind of like what we were showing you in the last in a few tweets ago from Josh Dubow, there was kind of a phenomenon with a few voters with these awards this year that voted Josh Allen for MVP and then either voted for Lamar as Offensive Player of the Year and first team All Pro. And one of those guys was ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, who is the ultimate quarterback ball gargler. And he went on, get a credit to him for going on and defending his position. But we'll go ahead and we'll just play this little clip from Get Up this morning. And then we'll kind of talk about this whole kind of MVP debacle that we have going on here afterwards. And you're going to see Orlovsky defend his position, and then the other guys on the set are going to kind of fight back with him.
For Lamar's first team All Pro,
and you voted for Josh MVP.
Yeah.
Okay, so then explain it to me. How did you differentiate those things?
The value that the player brought to their football team. The Bills were the number 2 seed. Josh had a 40 touchdown, 8 turnover, 14 sack season. The Bills didn't have an elite defense. The Bills had a very good run game, not a great run game. They didn't have elite perimeter players in any regard. The way that Josh played this season and the different style that he played brought tremendous value to their football team. Lamar's season was absolutely sensational. He was probably the best player in football this year, or Jamar Chase, or Saquon Barkley. But value and how much you impact your team, who you do it with, and who you do it against, that's where I thought Josh Allen had the upper hand.
Interesting.
We disagree on this side of the table. Did he say most valuable player for his team? Is this MVP of the league or of the Bills?
Oh gosh. So I mean, I think I'm glad that we have Dan here to defend him and the people who did this, but it does feel like you're trying to split the baby. Like you don't got the heart to say what you actually want to say. I think both of them had MVP caliber seasons, but it feels like you are trying to find some little semantics trapdoors. You can give this to him and that to them because you don't actually want to say what you really want to say.
Which is
Lamar Jackson had the best season this year, and maybe you could argue
but that's not the award. Dom.
See, this is the semantics foolishness that we do. This is what you do. You say value, and the cool thing about value, it gives us on these shows a way to argue because you can twist it and turn it any way you want. Normally, MVP means who's the best damn dude in the league, and it to me, obviously, Josh Allen had an MVP caliber season, but the best damn dude in the league this year was the guy who was first team All Pro.
He's exactly right. Dominique Foxworth is exactly right. Firing back at Dan Orlovsky there. What you're doing when you're voting Josh MVP and then Lamar first team All Pro or Offensive Player of the Year or whatever, what you're doing, that's a cop out. That's a cop out. You're not definitively saying, like, you're kind of doing the thing where it's like, oh, I think both guys were good and I want to reward both guys. And this way you can't be mad at me for just saying that Josh Allen won the MVP and being a 100% a Josh Allen guy, because I also said that Lamar should have been the first team All Pro. It's a cop out. Like, say it with your chest. Believe what you believe. If you think that Josh was the MVP, you should also inherently believe that he should have been first team All Pro. Because don't we think that the MVP of the league should also be first team All Pro? So I 100% agree with that there. What Orlovsky is doing and those other voters that voted similarly to him, it's a cop-out. With that being said, though, I do understand their thought process of saying that, like, hey, Josh Allen had the best season of his career and I wanted to award that. Lamar also had the best season of his career and I wanted to award that. Because especially, too, Lamar's best season of his career is kind of like a higher bar to climb than necessarily Josh Allen's best season of his career. With that being said, though, I already said earlier, I think Lamar should have won the MVP. I think he should have been first team All Pro. I think he was the best player in the NFL this year. And I definitely think that he got robbed of his third MVP. With that being said, though, I really don't care that much, and I'm not that worked up about it, like a lot of people are online. Why? Well, one, because they played each other in the postseason, and you can blame the Mark Andrews drop and all of that stuff for why Baltimore didn't have a chance to go to overtime. I mean, even two in that, the Bills still had a minute to try and drive down and get a field goal, so it wasn't definitively that they were going to overtime. Also, two, Lamar in that game, if you looked at total turnovers this year, in that throughout the regular season, you included fumbles. He had more total. I think it was only by like 1 or 2, but he had more total turnovers, and it was mostly because I think Lamar lost by like 6 fumbles this year, if I was right, 6 or 7. And he had a huge fumble in that AFC division game against the Bills that cost them points. And you can make the argument cost them the game. Was he very good in other aspects of the game? Yes. But I really don't care because that he lost, because they got to play it out on the field and he lost head to head in the playoffs. And I also think Josh Allen had a really good year. And I also saw a thing online too that, oh my God, Lamar Jackson is the most disrespected NFL player that we have ever had. Guys, if he would have won the MVP this year, he would have gotten his third MVP. He would have been the only player in NFL history to have 3 MVPs without making a Super Bowl. Before making a Super Bowl. And all the other guys that had 3 MVPs by the time they won their third MVP had already won a Super Bowl. So if we would have given him an MVP, he would have been one of the most respected NFL players because he's achieving things, and we're giving him regular season honors that very few guys in the history of the league have gotten without postseason success. And that's a huge reason why Lamar did not win this award, because there's just some people out there, I promise you, that are just not going to give him a third MVP until we see this dude make a Super Bowl. And you could say, well, Josh hasn't made a Super Bowl. I grade Lamar Jackson on a higher scale than Josh Allen because he's a better player than Josh Allen, because he's achieved more in the regular season than Josh Allen, because I expect more out of Lamar than Josh Allen, because I think Lamar has potential to be like a top 5 all-time great quarterback. I don't know if Josh does. And I like Josh and I like Lamar. But that's the thing when it comes to this stuff too. And you could say, well, Lamar had the better stats. Lamar had the better stats. Lamar had the better stats. Stats prove stats. Guys, it is not a stats award. I'll repeat this. This is not a stats award. Does it turn out to be that way a lot of the time? Yeah. But if we had this be a stats award every single year, and that's what I think's so funny with the Lamar guys that are, banging their fists, banging the desk, saying that Lamar should have won the MVP, and they're pointing out stats, bro, and touchdowns and yards and passer rating and blah, 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 is last year Lamar won the MVP and he didn't have the stats. He didn't have the stats. You don't believe me? Let's compare him to Dak Prescott. People forget this. Comparing Lamar Jackson in 2023 to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, now he did play an extra game, but still, he still had more of all, he still was better on all of this stuff before, without that extra game. Dak had more total yards, 9 more total touchdowns, 2 less turnovers, higher completion percentage, higher passer rating than Lamar last year. In fact, here's another stat for Lamar in his 2023 MVP. Lamar Jackson won his second MVP, and he was the first quarterback outside of the top 10 in both passing touchdowns and passing yards to win the award. Now, obviously, that's a little bit of you could say a misleading stat to a degree, because Lamar also has additional yards when it comes to and touchdowns from his rushing game, because that's a huge part of his game. But still, if you're just talking about stats and comparing it to other quarterbacks from last year, he didn't have the best stats last year. He was the best player on the best team, and that's why he won the award, and that's why he deserved to win the award last year. And I'm okay with Josh Allen winning it this year, because I think Josh Allen was really good and on a really good team. And that team was really good because of Josh Allen. That team was not expected to do much, especially offensively, after Stephon Diggs got traded to the Texans. We thought, oh my God, they got Keon Coleman and Mac Hollins and Shakir and some tight ends. And I don't know if this Bills team can make the playoffs. And after they had a little bit of a rough patch early in the season where they got killed by the Ravens and they got killed by the Texans, the Bills played fantastic football down the stretch. Josh Allen was 13-3 as a starter, and I'm okay with him winning MVP. And mostly because I am done complaining or, being hurt about Lamar not winning an MVP or not winning his third MVP until this dude does something in the postseason. Now, I understand he's not a disaster in the postseason, but it feels like every single year that same regular season Ravens and Lamar. Now, you can also blame Harbaugh for some of this stuff too. I think Harbaugh needs more heat when it comes to the lack of success that the Ravens have had under Lamar in the postseason. But every single year, man, we're looking for that explosive Ravens offense that looks like an absolute buzzsaw in the playoffs, and we don't get it. And we don't get it. And that's the bar that I'm trying to grade Lamar Jackson on. I don't care about his regular season anymore. I don't care if he throws 70 touchdowns in a regular season. I don't care. I want to see this dude win in the postseason, win when it matters most. And I think he'll get there someday. He's still pretty young. I think he's 28 years old. But I don't care that he got robbed of the MVP this year. He lost head-to-head to Josh Allen in the playoffs. And again, we're seeing the Ravens not produce when it matters most. And until they do, I'm not going to be crying about Lamar not winning the third MVP. Because if we give him that before he makes the Super Bowl, we're treating him with a tremendous amount of respect, even though a lot of the Ravens fans and Baltimore fans and Lamar Jackson fans don't think we are. We have been. This dude's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. And I want to see him get that postseason success to validate it. Because right now, there's a lot of people out there that are haters that are just saying, hey, really good in the regular season, but postseason craps his pants. And I know he doesn't, even though he's had some bad moments. The Titans lost mostly. But, hey, man, Lamar, Ravens fans, Lamar fans, no one wants to hear you complain about not winning an MVP trophy without a Super Bowl trophy. Oh, that point probably cost me some subs that I could have gotten. All right, that's going to do it for this episode here today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this episode, hit that like button, hit subscribe. That is the number one way that you can help support the show, and it costs you absolutely $0. It will also give you notifications whenever we release new episodes on this channel. Feel free to leave a comment what you thought about the video, whether you think Lamar got robbed, whether you think Josh deserved the MVP, what you think of the voting process of it. And yeah, feel free to check out other videos on this channel, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you for watching.